Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience. Your soul is welcome here, and you are in the right place at the right time, and we're going to sing about that. We've got Dolly here with us today. Marie.
And the reed. And the soul like connection.
That's right. Let's all sing together. Here we go.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be.
In the right place.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be.
Our souls are welcome here. Good morning, Reverend Deborah. Good to see you this morning.
Good morning, Reverend James. It's great to see you. And we greet you in the name of all that is good, all that is holy, and all that is sacred, and in the warm and loving energy of our community, Spiritual Life Center. Spiritual Life Center honors all people worshiping in temples, mosques, circles, and of course, the beautiful temples of nature, because we know that there is no space that God does not grace. If you're with us for the very first time today, either watching us online or here in person, we especially want to welcome you because we know that you are not here by accident. Every single one of us is here by
Divine appointment.
And we're always so very grateful for the opportunity to come together. And we also are very grateful when you silence your electronic devices. And please refrain from flash photography during the service.
Well, let's keep our appointment by communing with the presence of pure spirit, recognizing it is with us always. And as we make this presence the activity of our awareness right here and right now, we begin to show up at our highest and our best, because this is the nature and the power of love itself. No matter what is going on in the outer, we recognize that within us there is a divine presence. And this presence is unalterable, cannot be hurt, harmed, or endangered in any way. And that which is within us is far more powerful than anything that we face in the world. So we're grateful to allow this presence, open up ourselves to this presence, so it can have its way through and as us. And as we do, then we begin to radiate from the depths of our being. There's something that's beyond words, but is so very real. We call it God, we may call it the Atman, we may call it the Buddhic field. Some call it the divine. It is closer than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. But whatever we call it forth as the activity of our awareness now. And as we do, healings happen, upliftment happens, transformation happens. And we begin to see and feel and sense our oneness with the presence of God. For this and so much more, we're grateful and thankful as we go forth doing our part to spread the all good. Amen. Well, we have a very important purpose here at Spiritual Life Center that's reflected in our mission statement. And I invite you to join in as we affirm it together. To transform lives as we love, serve, and remember. And we do so by carrying out these 5 basic universal principles and make them the activity of our awareness and live them out to the very best that we can. Again, let's speak them together. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God, and we must take action.
And of course, we have a lot of action going on Wednesday nights. This week, Reverend James will present the second in his three-part series on mindful meditation. And what might we expect this week, Reverend James?
Well, I mentioned to somebody in the hallway after the first service, they said, the most important thing that we develop that sense of stillness and connect to that presence and watch what's going on in the outside world and say, that's not the truth, or we just let it float on by. So we're going to have an opportunity to connect more and more and increase our awareness of what's happening now.
And of course, if you didn't come last week, you're still welcome to come this week. It's not like, you can't come in the middle of it. And the community meal is at 6, and we start at 7, and we could go as late as 8:30, so just be prepared for that.
And the meal was awesome last week. I'll be there for that, if nothing else. Well, just to let you know that the local Laurel and Hardy group, A Fine Mess, shows movies each month here at Spiritual Life Center, and everyone's invited. And they're going to view 2 movies, Lucky Dog and Bohemian Girl, and that's going to be next Sunday between 1 and 3:30. And you don't have to make a reservation. Just show up and enjoy the experience. I've always enjoyed Laurel and Hardy. I always wondered why. I wonder what they was on, but they do a good job of keeping you happy.
And I received a correction. It is every other month, not every month. So. Okay, the transformational 21-day practice called the Art of Quantum Living helps participants reflect and understand their own biology and their psychology, which helps to uncover unconscious limiting patterns of thought, feeling, behavior that were set in motion in childhood and that may be still operating today. Elaine Leroy. I've met her once or twice. Elaine Leroy will facilitate this training. It's over 6 consecutive Wednesday nights from 6:30 to 8:30, and you can go online to get more information and to sign up for this great class.
Yes, definitely a transformative experience. Well, each month we have a member of our Board of Trustees to give you an update of what the board's up to. So today we have Sally Sion, our longtime board member, to share her update from the Board of Trustees.
You might want this.
I might need that. Good morning. Good morning. So good to see you here today. And for you people out there on TV, I can't see you, but you can see me. So, I hate to be up here to, blabber about things, but we don't know how else to tell you except to tell you. So that's why I'm taking your time today. The first thing that we want to tell you about is the board has been working on with the facilities committee here. We've had several issues of vandalism and theft on our property. Then they've damaged the gates and done some other damage. And so we're working on that, and you are seeing other things happen. We've got some blocks on the gates. We may put up some cameras. We've looked at security situations and services and stuff. So we're working on it, okay? And it's a work in progress. We're not finished because this building we own, okay? This is our biggest asset as a community. You and I own this building, so we need to maintain it and keep it safe. And more important than that, we want everybody who comes here, whether it's on Sunday morning or to an evening program or the staff during the week, whenever anybody is here, we want them to have safety, not only to be safe, but to feel safe. And so we've been working on that, and that's one of the issues that the board has in front of them right now that we're working on. So just to let you know what's going on. We may report some more on this at the May annual meeting, but we just want to let you know we're working on it. The second thing I want to tell you about is that we're going to have a town hall meeting the 30th of April. And this is not our annual community meeting where we're going to vote on new board members and that kind of thing. This was asked for by some governing members, and they requested a time where we can talk about things and have some time where we're not just giving information to you, but issues that were brought up and are going to be brought up so that we can talk about those things and have no time, limit on that. So one of the things that they want to talk about is we want to have dialogue around the issue of transparency and confidentiality. The board lives in kind of a crack between those two opposing ideas. And so they have questions about that, and they want some information about that. That's one of the things we're going to address. And the other thing is they want to talk about our membership model that we use. So those things will be on the agenda. There may be other things. We're going to send an agenda out prior to the meeting. And if you have an issue or concern or question about the way that the board or the facility runs, you're welcome to add that to our agenda for discussion at this town hall gathering. If you will send it to the board at SLC on our email, you can connect to it from our website. We would be glad to also talk about your issues and add those to the agenda for the meeting. So that'll be Sunday, April 30th after the second service. I also want to know if any of you want to become more involved in your own spiritual practice by becoming more involved in our community here. Today, after the second service, Reverend James and I will be holding a new member orientation. So we'll answer questions. If you have any questions about what it means to become a member at SLC, why you might want to be, we'll talk to you about it. We also enjoy always sharing with the group that we get together about our own spiritual journey, and we want to hear about yours. So if you've been here 2 weeks or you've been here 22 years, but you have not actually joined as a member, consider, because we do ask some commitments of members, and you can come and find out what those are and why that might help you with your own spiritual journey. So that's today at 1 o'clock. The other thing is that we have a table out in the courtyard, and I will be out there after the second service, because we want to know if you want to be involved in sacred service to this community. There is so much work that cannot happen here in our community without volunteers doing it. And we can always use help, and you will grow and deepen your own spiritual practice if you are willing to contribute to in sacred service by doing some small task or some huge task. And we have a list of things that are possible if you want to just come talk and say, I always thought we ought to have this. And I'll say to you, by the way, have you decided how you're going to facilitate that? So come talk to me after the service if you're interested in sacred service, and I'd be willing to help you with that. And then at 1 o'clock, there'll be the new community member orientation. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sally, so much. Good.
And remember, besides all that, there are many activities that foster transformation in our lives here at Spiritual Life Center. So check out our weekly small group and other offerings and discover all the happenings at SLC. If you're here on campus, you can go out to the courtyard, look at the bulletin board, chat with the ladies at the hub. And of course, you can always go to our website, and there is a great deal of information out there.
And one of the things that we seek to do at Spiritual Life Center is to make connections, and that happens in many of the activities that we have here at Spiritual Life Center, whether it's a class or just a social gathering. But at this moment, you can make a connection with someone, so I invite you just to find a friend or a stranger and just tell them you are marvelous, glad you are here, and connect with them in a manner that feels comfortable for you.
You are marvelous. You are beautiful.
You are more of who we are. We're going to sing that all together as our group song.
Please join us. I will meet you with my heart, heart to heart. Let us meet again, and then may we become more of who we are.
Yes, you sound beautiful. So I invite us now to settle into our seats as you have so beautifully done. Take a nice deep breath together and let's speak our vision statement out loud. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions, weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom. We cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
We are spirit. We are holy. We are sacred. We are love. Take a deep breath and slowly exhale. And in your next cycle of breaths, allow your body to relax. Drop your shoulders. Relax your eyelids. And as you breathe naturally, allow your consciousness to float up and away into a light daydream. In this daydream, you're looking at the palm of your hand. You see your fingers, maybe the tips of fingernails, maybe little scars or other marks. And now you look at the lines in your palm. And the longer you gaze at your hand, the more detail you begin to see. Like a zoom lens in a movie scene, you come in closer and closer until the cells in your hand are magnified. And then you find yourself surrounded by the millions of cells that make up that one small part of your hand. Your cells are full of life and light. You can feel their energy. You can hear them humming as they live their lives. And now you choose a cell and zoom right in through the molecules into the atoms that make up this cell. They are active, vibrant, intelligent, conscious. The energy at this level is beyond description. It is so pure that it feels as if you had fallen directly into the divine. And as you float and drift in this incredible energy, something interesting happens, and the scene changes. It is like you have turned around and are looking at the whole of creation from the inside. Everywhere around you, atoms and subatomic particles vibrate and shine and hum. They are life itself. They are consciousness. And then you gently, slowly turn again and begin to zoom out. And now you start to see the patterns made by these atoms, the patterns of the world in which you live. Your vision clears, and now you can see people, animals, plants, buildings. You can see even the very air as magnificent groupings of conscious atoms, all twinkling in the same light and love. You are at once an observer and participant in the divine soup of life. You experience yourself as you really are, a soul composed of the divine energy we call atoms. You are conscious. You twinkle. You swirl in the cosmic dance with the all, and you ignite your inner power as you float in the silence. Your inner power is awakened. It vibrates in and through your being. You know that you are an integral piece of a much greater whole that relies on your power to do its part. You are spirit. You are holy. You are sacred. You are love. With gratitude for this quantum experience, take a breath and slowly zoom farther out And with each breath, your physical world begins to coalesce to put its skin back on. And as it resolves into your physical environment and you return to awareness, please receive this blessing. Oh, my beloved, truly there is no space that God does not grace. Every particle that creates your universe is imbued with the original divine idea, and your soul is an integral part of that divine idea. There is so much more within you than you realize. And when you stand in your divine power, you are infilled with divine love. You become love. And as divine love, you become your greatest self. Remember this, always.
Remember divine love always. It's love that shines in me. It's love that shines. I ask today for compassion for the great and for the small. I asked today for right action. May I always hear the call. I ask today for the courage to be kind to every living thing that I encounter, in body or in mind. This holy flower is growing in my heart. This heavenly light is glowing in my soul for all to see. It's love that shines in me. It's love that shines in me.
I asked today for intention. May I mind the words I say. I asked today that possession never stands in my own way.
I ask today
The consciousness to find a path that heals all pain and suffering.
for me and humankind. This holy flower, is growing in my heart. This heavenly light, is glowing in my soul for all to see. It's love that shines in me. It's love that shines. Oh, this holy flower, it's growing in my heart. This heavenly
we are reminded that we are a perfect idea in the mind of pure spirit. We are the highest and best of what this presence sees when they see us. And this idea is waiting to be fully bloomed as our life and as our world. We make that the activity of our awareness right now. And as we come under its government and under its guidance, we begin to see the peace that passes all understanding. We begin to see the love that is beyond measure. We begin to see all that this presence is. And we know that this presence can never be changed, can never be altered, can never be hurt or harmed in any way. And as we make that our mind, our hearts, our very being, and we live from this truth, healings in our life begin to happen. Transformation in our world begins to take place. We begin to move beyond the seeming obstacles, the challenges, the difficulties that sometimes prop up in this experience, and realize there's something with every one of us that's more powerful than that which we face in our world. As it does say that that which is in you is far more powerful than that which we face in our world. We believe in that right now. We make that our awareness, our consciousness, our belief. So no matter what we are going through or growing through at any point in life, at any point in our world, no matter what the sense of separation that people will tell us is taking place, we realize that we are one in the Spirit, because Spirit can never separate itself from its creation. We feel that now. We know that now. And it reads through every cell of our body temple. So we're walking around radiating this energy. And anyone who comes in contact with who and what we are, it reminds them of the truth of their own being. And the next thing you know, it blooms and blossoms all over the world. We are required to remember that God needs us to shine God's light. We remember that we are a twinkle in the eyes of our Creator, and twinkle we must. Because we are the way that God gets around in this dimension. We do our part, and Spirit provides the increase along the way. And we know that all things are possible with this consciousness. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. Thank you. Delia, Laree, our Soul Light Connections, thank you so much for your energy, your consciousness, and all that you bring to us. We're just so blessed to have just high-talented, high-consciousness folks in our music team. So thank you all. Thank you all. I was once listening to a minister whose name will remain concealed to protect the guilty. But he was talking about a statement that's attributed to the master teacher, Jesus the Christ. And the statement was, "Be ye perfect, as your Father in heaven is perfect." It's interesting that he went on to elaborate on his perspective on this, and he said somehow, some way, Jesus was challenging us with an unattainable, fruitless goal, luring us with the impossible. And he said, well, we got to have goals to reach that's beyond our grasp, because after all, what's heaven for? Or, this is to help us keep us in control until we can get to a better place. Of course, what he was saying, of course, that, our goal in life is to try to get to some place beyond this world called heaven sometime in the sweet by and by. But as we look at the philosophy more clearly, the theories and the spiritual understanding, we realize that this is nothing more than a theology of servitude to keep individuals under control, been used all over the world. Be good, and one day you'll go to a better place called heaven. We know heaven is not a place, it is a state of consciousness that's here and now. And so I realized that, at least from my understanding, this was nullifying the message that the master teacher was bringing to us. The message that there is some limitless potential that each person can attain through realizing their oneness with the presence of God, realizing that there's a force within them that's waiting to bloom and blossom in our life and in our world. One poet put it, a fierce unrest seethes at the core of all existing things. It was the eager wish to soar that gave God wings. That unrest is the urge to evolve. That unrest is the urge to grow. That unrest is the urge to expand. There's an urge to answer a call of graceness within us. And that seething unrest has caused humanity to achieve feats that sometimes may have defied explanation at the time they came along. As we look at, our world and history, and, we move from being individuals who were grunting out of caves to planes and trains and automobiles and computers in our phones today. And that has been because there's an urge to move beyond where we have ever been. But of course, there's something within us that goes beyond just the technology. We don't want the technology to outstrip our humanity, our spirituality, as Dr. King talked about. So from our perspective, there's also a call for us to come up higher. Because no matter what we have done, no matter where we are, what we have not done, there's a call from this universe that we may call it God to do more, to be more, and to express more of that divine that's within us that we're here to be. The call, I think, is to transcend the limitations that we put on ourselves, to break through the "it can't be done" beliefs, in which our surface mind may be saying to us in so many words, "Oh, I can't because I never have. I can't because I'm not good enough. I can't because I'm too old. I can't because I'm too young. I can't, and can't." And so sometimes we judge and limit ourselves based upon the past, rather than the limitless possibilities that are always there for us. There is a call for greatness for all of us. Many years ago, I was speaking, and I was one of the folks that came up in the audience was Maya Angelou, has passed on now. And that was a surprise. I wasn't expecting her to show up that day. But later on, she was being interviewed, and she said she went to this place, and there was this young man, which I really liked her saying that. But she got out of it. She said that, what I realized when I came out of there was the question I need to ask myself was, why do I limit God? Now, I didn't even say anything like that, but it didn't really matter. If it came out of her mouth, then it's a good question to ask. There's a story in the Hebrew Bible, in the book of Numbers, the 13th chapter. And in the story, the Israelites were afraid to enter the promised land because there were giants in that land that they could not deal with. But two of the Israelites, Joshua and Caleb, felt the lure of what seemed to be impossible. And they said, "Let's go at once and occupy it, for we are able to overcome it." There's something within us that can deal with this. And I believe that anyone who has answered the call that's within them, within their own greatness, they have that Joshua, that Caleb mindset that says that there's an all-knowing, everywhere present, powerful presence. And God is, I am one with this, therefore I can. And we can when we refuse to be deterred by the giants of impossibility, whatever they may be in our life. Because we all have these stumbles and blockages in our life. Maybe there's a relationship challenge. Maybe there's a financial challenge. Maybe there's a health challenge. But if we go to that place, we will be guided. And if we follow that guidance, then we'll touch that creative urge to be the great persons that we're here to be and release that inner splendor. and answer that call to greatness that's within all of us and is waiting to be expressed. It's like the oak tree shouting back to the acorn, and it's saying to the acorn, wake up, I am you. There's something within that acorn that's waiting to be that oak tree. Just as an aside, as I was mentioned earlier, someone mentioned to me, and that speaking of waking up, he said, I want to pass on or die like my grandmother in her sleep, very peacefully. I don't want to be like all those other people that were screaming when she was asleep at the wheel. I know, I got a weird sense of humor. But I say that to say this. Some of us may not be heeding the call of the greatness and are asleep at the wheel of our own life in some shape or form. So we want to wake up here. We want to wake up to the true meaning and the true essence of what life is about, and that is continually evolving, growing, and experiencing more and more of what we're here to be. So we may ask, what can some of the things we can do to answer our call to greatness that is calling from our tomorrow, so to speak? Well, I think the first thing we have to do is develop the skill to answer that call that is always telling us, sometimes in a very small voice, sometimes it's yelling at us if we don't hear it at first. You know, we've heard that scriptural phrase that says, many are called, but few are chosen. You may have heard that. We may think that there's some sort of limitation. Only a few people are going to get chosen, picked up, the 144,000 or whatever it was. But we know the meaning of that phrase, the secret meaning, the inner meaning. Because God does not exclude anybody. And so the esoteric or the inner meaning of that statement says, maybe few are chosen because few actually choose. All of us are chosen, but few choose to actually go down that path. But we have the skill to make that choice. And choice comes from awareness. I always say that if we're not aware, we cannot make a different choice. So we must have an awareness that there is an infinite presence. We must have an awareness that there are infinite opportunities all around us waiting to be expressed. We have to have an awareness that there's an expanded something beyond what we can see that we can choose our life to be. And of course, we developed that skill by entering a sacred center, coming to places like this, like Spiritual Life Center, entering study, fellowship, service, prayer, and engaging in meditation. I'd mentioned, I think, in the meditation, mindful meditation class that, usually every year, years ago, I used to go to Spirit Rock Meditation Center, which is maybe a couple hours from here. And sometimes I would go to the one in Massachusetts. There's the Barb Meditation Retreat for some Buddhist studies. They were really profound. It would stretch my mind. It would blow my mind just to listen to them. But one of the things it did to help increase my awareness of what was coming through my own mind. What are the thoughts that I'm allowing to bubble up so I can see what is happening in me, because those thoughts are always a preview to my life experiences. And then I can begin to make different choices as to where I focus my attention. And I think our job is to do those things, the spiritual work, to create the conditions so that we get in tune with the pure, pristine ideas that are assisting us to help answer the call that is coming to us. And of course, when we realize this, we don't never have to look outside of ourselves for the answer. The answer is already there. Sometimes we have to remove all the hindrances, the blockages that are stopping us from seeing it or hearing it. I've come to the realization that all spiritual growth is not about putting anything in us. It's really about removing all the blockages and releasing what is already there. To release that in prison splendor. So we can have that potential come up through us. So we engage in the silence. We engage in the meditation. We no longer judge falsely. We commune with the presence of God in nature. And of course, we add forgiveness, one of the most important principles we can always engage in, because it creates a clearing to hear more clearly. All of these spiritual practices, all these spiritual strategies have the effect of eliminating the static that comes from the highly charged thought forms of our world that prevents us from connecting to that infinite possibility. I think the idea is this: when our line is not full of static, stuff that we hear from other people, from our parents, from the news, don't listen too much on that unless you are really prayed up. But when we begin to eliminate the static, we can hear and get captured by inspired spiritual ideas. And the worry, the doubt, the fear, the sense of separation, all of that is static on the line. It has nothing to do with the presence of God. And when we're rooted in the spiritual practice, to connect with that presence, connect with that love of God, and we allow it to move through us or to be that flower that blooms through us, as that song was telling us, our line becomes static free. Now, understand, when we get to that space and we start moving up that spiritual ladder to grow, develop, and unfold, the world will come with all of the opposite. When we're rooted in that place, the world will shout out all of its names. It'll shout at us sickness, war, bigotry, lack, limitation, not enough to go around. It's impossible. Don't you know that? It will give us a label and a name for everything under the sun. And when we are in that space, we will learn to stop, stand still, and see the salvation of the Spirit of the living God. And we'll say, hold on. I got a bigger name on the line. I got a bigger name on the line. I can't talk to you right now. I cannot recognize you at all. I cannot give you my attention. I got a bigger name on the line. It's called God. It's called pure consciousness. It's called infinite possibility. It's called great spirit. It's calling me. I'm answering, and I got to go. Can't listen to you. We want to listen to that presence. Now, when we root ourselves in spiritual practice and principle that the power and the presence and the Word of God is all that there is, that'll become part of our vibration. You know, I used to sing this song when I used to study the Course in Miracles. A group used to sing it, and it goes something like this. You want to hear it? Only God is real. All the rest is just illusion. Only God is real. Now, there's some more words. I can't remember the rest of the words. But the whole idea, when we anchor ourselves in the truth, we allow this thing, this something. That's what I call God. God is like a something. I really can't define it. I know it's something, and it's real. And it'll move through us. It'll make our line static free. And we will hear the guidance that is there all the time. So when we're praying, we don't have to suddenly say, God is not saying to us, your prayer is right. Let me give that person some guidance. They're saying the right words. No, we will have absolute belief that the presence of God is everywhere, and most importantly, right where I am. And it's with me totally and completely. Our spiritual practice is simply opening us up to what is there all of the time. And we begin to hear with new ears. We begin to see with new eyes. And something takes us over, and we hear the call. It means that we have to develop the ability to no longer judge life merely from the surface. You know, when you hear that statement, I live by faith and not by sight. We don't want to live by what we can see. Because behind what we see, there's always some unfolding good, and we want to give our attention to that. You know, there was a young woman who was new to the country. Her name was Maya, and she was an effective, brilliant worker, and she went to a job interview to get a job, and she was very prepared, and she felt really confident about her qualifications, and she arrived on site, and when she got there were other candidates that were around her, and they were wearing some real expensive clothes and suits and designer dresses and purses around her. And she, on the other hand, was comfortable just wearing her elegant clothes from her country where she came from, Pakistan. And she thought, what she wore did not really matter. Didn't matter as much as her qualifications, didn't matter as much as her experience. But as she was there taking the interviewer kept looking at her clothes, and despite her best efforts to impress the interviewer and with her knowledge and her experience, she felt like he was not taking her seriously. And so she left the interview feeling a little dejected and disappointed, but she decided to come back and try again. But this time she, went and got the most expensive tailored clothes and, got the best makeup artist to do her makeup. She styled her hair, and she arrived at the interview, and that same interview who had dismissed her earlier was now all smiles and compliments. And he offered her the job on the spot, didn't even ask her all the questions that he should have asked. And Amaya was a little shocked and very disappointed because she realized that the interviewer had judged her solely based upon what she was wearing and not on her abilities. The interviewer did not meet her where she really was. He did not meet her who she really was. He dealt with her only on the surface. But the point is this: sometimes in our own life, we may do the same thing. Sometimes things happen in our life, events take place, and right away we'll label it based upon what we see, and we say, oh, this is bad, this is not right. And we'll do something that stirs up the sense of separation, and we'll judge by the appearance only because we have not looked deeply enough to see beyond the appearance. When we begin to call out God's name and connect with that presence, connect with that reality, and focus on the limitless possibilities that are all around us, something begins to happen. Because we understand the transformative effect of where our attention is. Because we know that statement, energy flows where our attention goes. What are we giving our attention to? Only what we can see? Are we giving our attention to what we thought is impossible? Are we seeing that there's infinite possibilities always around us? So when an event takes place, we realize really what it's signaling to us. There's an opportunity there. There's an opportunity to go deeper into the infinite presence. It's signaling an opportunity for all-knowing presence we call God to reveal itself in a way it maybe had not revealed itself to us. And when we do that, we'll hear that call. We'll answer that call. We will be that call, and we will move toward our greatness. Understand that an answer to our call to greatness is not about our own might and power, our own know-how. Because we don't need to use that to try to overcome the challenges or the demands that we have in our life and in our world. We want to see it from a different perspective and realize that every challenge, every demand, every seeming impossibility on our human experience is not given to us on the human level to solve. But every demand that is given to us is given to that Christ presence, that divine presence that is within us. So that place that is unchanging, that place where is a fulfillment to every seeming question that we have is revealed. We'll reveal the supply. We'll reveal the forgiveness, the compassion, the strength, the endurance, the patience. It's all there waiting to be expressed. When I was in ministerial school, we had to take a practicum at what they call silent unity. Those who are familiar with silent unity, when you could call there any time of the day or night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. One person, when I mentioned silent unity, what does that really mean? It means that you pick up the phone and you listen and you only hear silence? No, that's not what it meant. It means that 24 hours a day, they're available to pray. And then we would also have our services that would happen at silent unity. And they would always start out with this statement: it is not I, but the Christ within that does the work. It is not I. It is not the human part of us. It's a reminder it is not up to us to do the things that we think need to be done, but that every demand, every challenge we find coming to us during the course of our day is a demand upon the Spirit that is within us. And Spirit cannot fail. And what we want to do is get in the flow of it. We want to relax in that flow and begin to witness how this presence we call God is going to show up in our life and take care of whatever we think needs to be taken care of. We do our part, but it's the divine within that does the work. I think as we go through whatever we're going through in our life and our world today, Our purpose is to be agents of this transforming energy. We're here to change the thought atmosphere. We're here to change the consciousness in which we live so that it not only transforms us, but it has an effect on generations, even down the line, and we spread it all over the planet. Yesterday, they had a program in the Rose Garden at the state capitol, and it was actually the state capitol Rose Garden 20th anniversary, and it was, I think, Sylvia Villalobos, I think is her name, that's been the co-creator of that. And she's been doing it for 20 years, started out with nothing, and then began to engage other people across, the country and in the city, from different religious organizations, different age groups, different socioeconomic backgrounds. Whole idea was to bring a consciousness of peace. That was her calling. She answered her call. She was fulfilling her purpose. She was changing the thought atmosphere at her part of the universe. And I think this is who we are and what our purpose should be in our own way. When our purpose is in alignment with a spiritual idea. Oh, the universe energizes everything that's in alignment with that spiritual idea. Individuals, our businesses, our spiritual communities. When in line with a dynamic purpose, there's some inexhaustible something that sustains our effort, that is the wind beneath our wings. So know the Spirit of God is nudging us, urging us, cajoling us to bring out that greatness within us. So people will see the presence from which we have all come. I believe now is the time, in places wherever you happen to be right now, because we're in a moment of history where everyone is here, knows on some level that every person in this world can be fed. Everyone can be clothed. Everyone can be educated. Everyone can have clean water. Everybody can have the realization of peace in their life and peace on the planet. And of course, when we begin to have that, people will come up, you actually believe that stuff? And we will say, yes, we do. Yes, we do, because with God, all things are possible. Now, it may take a revolution of values. It may take a reprioritization of the values that aligns with these spiritual intentions for humanity. But we want to have values that remind us it's time for us to live as if there's only one love, because there is only the love of God. We want to have values that reminds us there's only one life, because it is, and that is the life of this presence. We want to be reminded that there's only one people, and they are all children of the Spirit of the living God. When that becomes part of our awareness and consciousness, it'll spread, and that's how we begin to transform the world and even our lives. Like I said, the service mind would say it can't be done, it's never happened before, it's not going to happen, but we don't listen to that, because that's nothing more than the static on the line. We listen and we affirm to the divine ideas of the Spirit of God, because no man, no woman, or nation can stand in the way of God's goodwill. We just need to be open to it. And Spirit will show up. As I like to say, God loves us too much to leave us alone. It'll keep messing with us until we get in that direction. It's not going to happen on the wheels of inevitability, as Dr. King talked about. But when we answer our call, we do our part, oh, something happens. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. I thought about the woman who just was a crossing guard at elementary school students for 50 years. And when she passed away, the students came, their parents came, the grandparents came, all beholding to the wisdom that she gave them in her own way to those little kids that they remembered all their life. We do our part. We answer our call, whatever it happens to be. And we'll begin to bring the high possibilities of our spirit, because we're in alignment with a great vibration that says that which is in me is greater than anything in the world. So we answer that call. So I ask you, are you ready to answer your call? I heard a few faint yeses. Are you ready to answer your call? Yes. Are you ready? Yes. Are you ready? Yes. It is done. Peace and blessings to you. Well, next week I'll be back, and we're going to be talking about being open to miracles, defining what that is, and grounded in truth at the same time. So we'll check it out. It's going to be Beijing Easter. Rio will be back. And Soul Light Connection will be our music team as always. So we thank them for their presence. Well, first of all, just to invite anyone who is here for the very first time. And if you're online and you're new to us, you're new what's going on in our community today. Any newcomers here today? Any first timers? Anyone here for the very first time? something that is beyond our understanding, that has the answer even before we know what the prayer is or the word that we need to ask. As the statement goes, this presence is saying to us in so many words, before you call, I have already answered you. It has the answer, and our job is simply to raise our vibration to be one with the answer and watch the Spirit do its work in ways that we never considered before. It's already done. We're grateful and thankful as we go forth doing our part, knowing that Spirit is with us along the way. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. And so with that consciousness, let's affirm and speak together our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is. I am. And all is well. Let's sing our peace song. Greatness call and hang around for some post-lude music. Yeah, you might want to dance a little bit.
Yeah.